Let me tell you something that sounds impossible until you actually understand why it happens. A lot of retirees do not run out of money. In fact, many of them end up with more money than they had when they first retired. Not a little more, sometimes a lot more. Now, you might think that means they were brilliant investors, or that they found some secret strategy that nobody else knows about. But that is not the reason. The real reason is much simpler and also much sadder. They were so afraid of spending their money that they barely touched it. They spent decades saving. And then, when retirement finally came, they could not bring themselves to enjoy what they had saved. If you have ever caught yourself thinking, I should be able to enjoy this, but I'm just too scared to spend, this video is for you. Because here is the honest truth that most financial experts do not talk about. Retirement is not just a math problem, it is a psychology problem. And if you do not understand the psychology, the math will not save you. What is the consumption gap? A simple explanation. Let me introduce you to a very important idea. It is called the consumption gap. Consumption is just a fancy word for spending. The consumption gap is the difference between what you could spend based on your savings and investments and what you actually spend. Here is what that looks like in real life. On paper, your numbers are fine. Your pension, your social security, your investment portfolio, they all add up. You could afford to take that trip. You could afford to eat out more often. You could afford to help your grandkids with college. But emotionally, you feel exposed. You feel like one wrong move could ruin everything, so you hold back. You spend less than you could. And that gap between what is possible and what you actually do, that is the consumption gap. This gap almost always shows up right at the beginning of retirement. Why? Because you are making a huge shift in your life. For decades, you were in accumulation mode, earning money, saving money, watching it grow. Then suddenly, you switch to withdrawal mode, taking money out, spending it down. The habits that built your wealth, discipline, caution, delayed gratification, suddenly start working against you. Spending just feels wrong. It feels like you are breaking the rules you followed your whole life. The 4% rule. Explained in plain English. You may have heard of something called the 4% rule. Let me explain what it is and why it matters. The 4% rule is a guideline that many financial experts use. It says this: in your first year of retirement, you can withdraw 4% of your total investment portfolio. Then, every year after that, you can increase that dollar amount by the rate of inflation. For example, let us say you retire with 500 VED. FOURPERCENTOF, 500,000 saved. IHAT. 4% of 500,000 is 20 euro. SOINYOURFIRSTY. EAROFRETIREMENTIYOUCOULDTAKEOUT 20,000. So in your first year of retirement, you could take out 20,000. If inflation is 3%, the next year you would take out $2,600, and so on. Historically, this rule has worked very well. For most 30-year retirement periods, withdrawing 4% each year would not exhaust your savings. You would have a very low chance of running out of money. But here is what researchers discovered when they looked at what real retirees actually do. Most retirees do not even spend 4%. They spend less. Sometimes much less. In study after study, retirees with million-dollar portfolios consistently spent less than the math said was safe. And this happened even through difficult market periods like the early 2000s when the stock market dropped sharply. In many cases, their assets stayed flat or even grew over time. So why would someone with more than enough money still feel broke? Let me give you a real-life example. A real-life example, the couple who would not take the trip. I once sat down with a couple who were both retired. They had a good situation. Their pension and social security together covered all of their basic living expenses: housing, food, utilities, healthcare. They did not need to touch their investment portfolio for any of that. Their portfolio was strong. They had hundreds of thousands of dollars saved. They had no debt. Their health was good. And yet, they could not bring themselves to take a long-planned trip to visit their grandchildren across the country. They kept saying to each other, "This money is for retirement. What if we need it later?" Finally, I looked at them and said, "You are retired. This is later." That is the paradox. People save for decades. They reach the exact season of life that the money was intended for, and then they struggle to use it. It is like owning a beautiful boat but never leaving the dock. Two big reasons why this happens, simple explanations. Let me break down the two main reasons why so many retirees underspend. These are not complicated, but they are powerful. Reason number one, changing your mindset is really, really hard. Think about what it took for you to build your retirement savings. You had to say no to things. You had to delay gratification. You had to be disciplined. You had to watch every dollar. Those are good habits. They helped you succeed. But those good habits do not automatically turn off when you retire. The same voice that told you to save for decades now tells you that spending is dangerous. Drawing down your savings feels like failure, even when it is planned and smart. As one retiree told me, I spent 40 years being told to save. Now you want me to spend? It feels wrong. And that feeling is very real. It is not stupid. It is not greedy. It is just a very natural response to a lifetime of conditioning. But at some point, you have to ask yourself the hardest question of all. If not now, when? If you will not spend the money when you are healthy and retired, then when will you spend it? Reason number two, uncertainty freezes people. The second reason is fear of the unknown. The what ifs keep people awake at night. What if I live to 95? Will my money last? What if inflation spikes and everything gets more expensive? What if the stock market crashes right after I retire? These are real risks: longevity risk, living too long; inflation risk, prices going up; market risk, investments going down. None of these are imaginary. But here is what happens. When you combine those real risks with a natural human tendency called loss aversion, the fear of losing what you have, many retirees become extremely conservative. They would rather have less and feel safe than have more and feel anxious. I have seen households with well over $1 million hesitate to spend a few $1,000s on a new roof or a modest vacation. Their anxiety is not proportional to their wealth. Some people do not need more money. They need more confidence. What the data actually shows and why it might surprise you now. Let us look at what the numbers say, because the data might calm some of your fears. Researchers ran computer models on a typical couple retiring with $1 million. They assumed the couple would invest in a balanced portfolio, a mix of stocks and bonds, and they looked at what would happen over 30 years. Under average market conditions, spending more than 4% each year often did not reduce the couple's principal very much. Even when markets performed poorly, lower returns, higher inflation, the portfolio often held up better than you would expect. But here is the really surprising part. Historically, when retirees followed a 4% type plan, they often ended their retirement with more money than they started with. Sometimes double, occasionally much more. Why? Because market returns in many 30-year periods were higher than the 4% withdrawal rate. The portfolio grew faster than they spent. Now, let me be clear. If your goal is to leave a large inheritance to your children or a charity, ending with more money is wonderful. That is a choice. But if you are skipping life while you're alive, saying no to travel, saying no to experiences, saying no to helping your family, all because you are afraid of running out of money that you probably will not run out of, that is a very different problem, and it is a problem you can solve. 3 things that cause underspending, root causes. Let me give you the 3 main causes of underspending. These come directly from research and from talking to hundreds of retirees. Cause number 1, fear of running out, fear of the market, fear of making a mistake, fear of being a burden on your children. Fear is the biggest driver. Cause number 2, lack of a real plan. Many retirees do not have a structured income strategy. They just guess. They pull money out of their account when they need it without any system. When markets drop, they stop spending. When headlines scream about a recession, their confidence shrinks. Without a plan, every spending decision feels like a gamble. Cause number 3, low confidence in whatever plan. Even when people have a plan, they do not always trust it. They see a scary number on a computer screen, a 90% success rate, which sounds good but still means a 10% chance of failure, and they tighten their belts unnecessarily. So, what is the solution? A simple step-by-step approach. Now for the good news. You can fix this. You do not have to spend your retirement feeling scared and deprived. Here is how. Step 1. Get clear on what the money is actually for. Sit down with a piece of paper or with your spouse and answer these questions honestly. What do I really want to do in retirement? Is it travel? Is it spending more time with grandkids? Is it taking up a hobby I never had time for? Is it giving money to my children now while I am alive to see them enjoy it? Is it donating to a cause I care about? Is it simply the comfort of knowing I will never be a burden? Then ask the harder question. What would I regret not doing if I looked back from age 85 or 90? Here is the truth that most people avoid. Underspending has a real cost. It means fewer memories. It means delayed dreams. It means a constant, low-grade anxiety that follows you through your retirement years. That anxiety is not harmless. It affects your health, your relationships, and your happiness. Step 2, build an income plan that you can actually trust. You need more than a guess. You need a system. Let me give you 2 tools that work. Tool A, consider an annuity for guaranteed income. An annuity is a financial product that you buy with a lump sum of money. In exchange, the insurance company promises to pay you a guaranteed monthly income for the rest of your life. It does not matter how long you live. The checks keep coming. An annuity is not for everyone. It might not give you the highest possible return. But for people who are scared to spend their savings because they worry about outliving their money, an annuity can be a game changer. It turns a pile of money into a paycheck you cannot outlive. That reduces fear dramatically. Tool B, use a dynamic spending with guardrails approach. Here is another strategy that does not require buying an annuity. You set upper and lower boundaries for your spending. In years when your investments perform well, you can increase your spending, maybe take that extra trip, or make that home improvement. In years when your investments struggle, you temporarily reduce your spending, maybe eat out less, delay a big purchase, or take a less expensive vacation. You decide these rules in advance when you are calm, not in the middle of a market panic. That way, spending becomes intentional. You are in control. You are not reacting to fear. Tool C, use a bucket strategy to protect against market drops. A bucket strategy is simple. You set aside 2 to 3 years of living expenses in very safe accounts, like a savings account or short-term bonds. That money is your spending bucket. You do not invest it in the stock market. The rest of your portfolio, the long-term bucket, stays invested for growth. Here is why this helps. When the stock market drops, you do not have to sell anything at a loss. You just spend from your safe bucket. You wait for the market to recover, then you refill the bucket. This removes the fear of being forced to sell when prices are low. It gives you peace of mind. Step 3, change how you measure success. Most retirement plans show you a probability of success, a percentage like 85% or 90%. That number looks scary because it means there is a 10% or 15% chance of failure. But retirement is not a pass-fail test. It is dynamic. You adjust along the way. If markets do poorly, you spend a little less. If your health changes, you adjust. If inflation spikes, you adapt. You do not need a perfect plan. You need an adaptable plan. The goal is not to die with the biggest number. The goal is to live fully while maintaining confidence that you will not outlive your money. Final takeaway, you earned this. Let me leave you with this. You worked hard for decades. You sacrificed. You saved. You delayed gratification. You did everything you were supposed to do. Now, you are retired. The money is there. It was meant for this season of your life. Do not let fear steal your retirement from you. Do not let uncertainty make you smaller than your own savings. You do not need to be reckless, but you also do not need to be frozen. Get a real plan. Get clear on what matters to you. Then give yourself permission to spend what you have earned. Because the worst retirement outcome is not running out of money. The worst retirement outcome is having plenty of money and realizing too late that you never let yourself enjoy it.